well. We're getting into the paper review just to make sure you know a few things happening in Kenya and, of course, across the world. And there's a story on page 2-3 of the Daily Nation. Of course, you can also read it online by going to the e-paper. But it's a story about Tatu City wars, the inside story. Now, DCI detectives want permission to obtain documents related to account opening information, signatories, bank balances, statements showing flow into and out of the accounts, and other details that may help a probe into Tatu City. Loans and purchases have been found by the EICC to be looking like they're not legit. They are paper transactions, which are made to look like people are doing legit business, but often it's a money laundering scheme. And these are some of the things that the EICC and DCI are probing.
It's a wide story on page 2 and page 3 of the Daily Nation. As we look at that, we're looking at specific companies. For example, on May 16th, the directors of Green Seal Properties and Zephus Properties Limited recorded statements with the DCI following summons related to claims of tax evasion and the money laundering. Now, the DCI's Economic and Commercial Crimes Unit has been investigating Green Seal, Zephus, and several farms associated with the Tatu City project for money laundering and tax evasion. Now, if you think that that's not a serious case, it is actually, because court papers filed by farms under the Tatu City umbrella and the DCI shine a spotlight into the multi-billion shillings project.
That's right. Now, there's a lot happening there, including issues of course, suspected money laundering. And the DCI and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commissions are looking into those transactions. Of course, they're doing a deep dive into bank statements, account openings, fund movements, which may aid in uncovering what is happening, and any, of course, illegal activities. Of course, the allegations of fraudulent transactions have been there for a while, to be quite honest. But the city's complex structure, which involves a lot of foreign entities, local entities, makes it really hard for investigators to trace transactions. Of course, if money is moving from outside, coming inside going outside, etc. There's also disputes over land ownership and shares in Tatu City, which have led to court battles and alleged fraud. And then, of course, there's the fact that those transactions some transactions do appear to be paper transaction, which conceal the true source or the destination of funds. And often when transactions are done in that way, it's because of money laundering.
And as we look at that, Tatu City's disputes in amounts, we are looking at very high profile individuals such as the former governor Kabogo, who's also been mentioned right there. So there's key figures in the real estate and the investment sector, and there's also international investors and prominent Kenyan business personalities who are linked to this case. The impact on the local business seems that the Tatu City case highlights broader concerns about transparency, governance, and the handling of large-scale investments in Kenya, which means that if you're meant to make such investments, you need to be very careful, make sure that the documentation is actually a little bit more transparent. But it becomes even harder. That's why the DCI has been involved in such a case.
Yep.
And of course, if you're looking at foreign investors and the kind of money that they pump into such developments, then the big Q would definitely, the stakes would actually go higher.
True.
And there's potential for legal reforms because the case could potentially lead to policy changes or legal reforms regarding the regulation and oversight of large investment projects in Kenya to avoid similar disputes in future.
That's right. Some of the big numbers, as Brian was saying, former Kiambu governor, that's William Kafogo, put down 348 million shillings in a deposit for land in this part of Tatu City while he was governor. There's also allegations that 1.5 billion shillings in tax has been evaded by Tatu City and so many others. Of course, some of the big names that are mentioned aside from former Governor Kafogo include Vimal Shah, who is the Bidco Africa chairman, Nahashon Nyaga, Stephen Jennings of New Zealand, and Christopher Barron of Australia.